Hello, this video is to show how RedList might be used for Round Mountain Gold mine. And what I'm going to do is log into a demo account where we have loaded some of your assets and some of your forms. On this left-hand navigation menu, I'm going to talk mostly about forms and maybe kind of how it interplays with some other our other links within this. But the forms, it's my understanding that you currently use JD Edwards, and there's a process where you print out inspections or pre-operation inspections or other things that need to be recorded, and then once those are recorded, you scan those back into your current tool with JD Edwards. We propose using RedList to digitize a lot of that process for you. So for instance, if I go to the submit function, these are some of the forms that we have digitized for you just as samples. So for instance, if I go to this MSD2 body inspection form, you can see that it pulls up the form as maybe you use it now. If I select the truck, it'll populate these other fields for me. So for instance, if I select 462, you can see that it brings in a body serial number, a truck model, and the body hours. If you can then select the inspector. This body hours might increment. This is probably the last logged body hours, so now you want to maybe log 1700 on this body hours. And then you use this diagram to take measurements, and I'm just going to go through these very quickly just to show you how this is done. The right side body measurements. And then you can log any notes. Dent on left side is significant. So maybe you want to log some information. You can now hit submit, and that is logged in our system for safekeeping. So for instance, if I wanted to go to the forms and look at the entries that have been submitted, I can actually pull up that body inspection, and I can look at the last, let's say I want to look at the last 365 days, the last year. You can see that this, this is the inspection that I did just recently. I can actually pull up the PDF version of that. I mean, should you want to pull the PDF, but again, it's not necessary as we've logged all this digitally. That you can now use later. So on this forms menu, I've shown you both how to submit a form and view entries. Let me show the creation, and this is really the genius of our platform. I'm going to select from here this shovel inspection because it has a little more logic built in. Just to show you kind of how the genius of our form and how we build these forms. If I edit any of these fields, like for instance the boom hydraulic assembly, this question, first of all, you specify what kind of question it is, either a drop down or a radio button. In this case, we have a selection button, which is just an easy pass, fail, or okay, or needs attention, something of that nature. But the genius is really with these logic buttons. So for instance, we do have a work order logic that's built into this. So let me click into that and show you how it works. You can select always or when or never, but in this case we'll select when. Question 3, which is the question that we're on, needs attention. You can toggle whichever button it needs to be selected. Then the result of that is to create a new work order, require a work order description. You can specify how many days it's due. Maybe this can wait for 7 days. Specify the person who's responsible. Let's pick on Bowman, for instance. And maybe who Bowman's boss is, the lead is, and then even specify is it normal priority or some other higher priority. And then you can click select done. So we've changed the logic of what happens. You can actually specify a notification. Maybe when question 3 needs attention, I want to notify the management. And you can specify anybody as the manager in this. Let's just do RedList user as the manager. So you can send an email or a text or whatever, you can get them notified in several different ways. So anyway, that's the logic of how our forms actually interplays with the other suites within our form, our tool, including the reliability. These work orders will happen to fall into the reliability suite. Now that I'm on the topic of the reliability suite, this is where you'll actually build your preventative maintenance schedules. So if I click into View Tasks, this pulls up an entire list of tasks that are to be performed on some sort of a cadence, and that cadence could be, every 500 hours of the equipment, or it could be every 3 months, or any preventative maintenance schedule or cadence that you can dream up. You can actually look at these, and let's say that you decide that you want to change maybe an oil type from a standard conventional oil to a synthetic. You could very easily grab these by filtering here. Or let's say that maybe you want to change a product in the differential. So let me look at the differential for maybe a rear differential. I'm going to filter based on that. And so you can see here that we have some tasks that are clean and inspect by hand, the differential, and you use once you've viewed the tasks, you can actually decide if you want to do a mass edit or change something. You're able to do that by selecting any of these drop downs and filtering. So for instance, if we're looking at product types and maybe we're looking at oil, and I want to filter by oil, this maybe actually specifies what sort of a product we're using. Let's say that you wanted to change anything that was the 6229 to some other type of oil. So this would, if I could select that, filter that even further, and maybe I want to do a mass edit to these items, and with that mass edit, you can specify what product you're going to use instead. So maybe you select a different product from this list that you'd use instead of the oil that you're using currently. But this is a great way you can actually change your tasks that you're assigned to do. These are the preventative maintenance tasks. You can mass edit these. You can put all these in a specific route, and that way, if you want to do all your grease fittings at the same time, or then you can do that. Your oilers could be sent out to do all the greasing, or with the same product type, or however you want to arrange your preventative maintenance. One of our prized features on the software is this quick view function. Management really likes this because it gives them a holistic view of what's happening in the mine. So for instance, if I go to your mine plant view, this is a view of your plant, and these nodes are tied to assets. So I'm going to go into the live view, and this is a demo account, so we have a lot of overdue tasks, but let's say that I wanted to click on any one of these nodes. If I click on a node, it'll bring up the subcomponents of a node, or the components of that asset. This particular asset is a warm and agitator. If I click on one of these, it'll bring up a larger view. From that, you can look at the KPIs associated with that. So you can look at the utilization hours, the alert labor hours. So this means that there's maybe 2.2 hours that have been associated with working a work order against an alert. You can actually bring different tiles in here that you would like. You can look at work orders that are associated with this particular piece of equipment. You can even look at oil samples. So the last time that the oil sampled, these can be fed in there, and you have a digitized log of the oil analysis for this particular unit. So it's a much cleaner way than just having those oil samples all on a separate repository, to have them linked to the specific asset. We also have, let's say I go to the work orders and I want to complete one of these work orders. I hit done. It allows me to, we have like preloaded how long we think this is going to take, but let's say it took me longer than what I anticipated. It took 45 minutes. And then you want to specify too if it used some sort of a part. let's say that on this particular piece of equipment, I want to actually complete one of the work orders. I'm going to select this gearbox and say that I've completed this. Once I pull this up, it specifies how long it should have taken. It says 5 minutes. I'm going to say that it actually took me 10 minutes. Our software starts to log how many labor hours are performed against that piece of equipment, and it'll log that, and that kind of aggregates into the overall cost of that piece of equipment. Also, right now it shows that we've used some sort of an oil and how many ounces we've used. Perhaps we've used more, and you want to increment that to 5 ounces instead of the 2.5 that it initially had. This way we kind of keep an inventory of your oils as well, and we can have reorder points when you reach a certain threshold of inventory in that particular oil. So once I check that, I can sign it and complete that, and then that work order is now completed, and the PM for that piece of equipment is completed. Thanks for watching. If there's any questions, then obviously reach out to someone here at RedList. We'd be happy to field those questions. We also might create a few other videos that are relevant to your mind and show you other functions and features of our software.